February of 2022, that was the last time the Bulls won 4 straight games. They did not win 4 straight at all last season. And it's kind of painful thinking back to that time in February 2022. The Bulls ultimately went on a 6-game winning streak and were first in the Eastern Conference coming out of the All-Star break after that winning streak. And really, after that streak is when everything fell apart. The Bulls played horribly down the stretch in that season without Lonzo Ball, fell in the standings to 6th, got badly beat in the playoffs, and you know what? We don't need to relive all of that. We know what happened. Instead, let's focus on this current winning streak, 4 straight W's. I'll say it again. Yeah, it doesn't help the tank, especially if the Bulls decide to tear everything down after trading away Zach LaVine, but I just want to see my team compete, man. I want to see them giving me hustle and effort. I want to see smart team basketball. And while yes, this game was sloppy at times, they never let up and took their foot off the gas when it came to their energy and hustle on both ends of the floor. And I know this is a very bad Spurs team who is now on a 16-game losing streak and having only won 3 games all season, but they really, that team, the Spurs, really wanted this win. They were playing very hard, and despite the fact that the Spurs were having one of their best shooting games, especially in the first half, the Bulls didn't quit. They didn't get down on themselves and hang their heads low when the Spurs were hitting difficult shots. They just kept playing, kept fighting, and played scrappy, hard-nosed defense. The Scrappy Bulls, as Adam Mean coined them after that game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, here's the thing. Whether you like seeing the Bulls win right now or not, whether you're wanting to see them tank or not tank, if you're a Bulls fan, you have to be encouraged by a few things. 1, the increased level of play and aggressiveness from Patrick Williams and the continued breakout and consistent play of Coby White. And both of those guys were on full display tonight and big factors for this current win streak at large, because we talked about this all offseason. The Bulls, given the front office deciding to run things back, they were only going to be as good, or should I say only improve from what we saw last season, if we saw significant jumps from Coby and Pat. The Bulls' success was highly dependent on both of those guys having breakout seasons, because we already knew what Zach, DeMar, and Vooch were going to give us. These guys aren't suddenly going to have stellar seasons or change their games. You're young guys, and seeing that development, that progress was going to be paramount. And to start the season for both Coby and Pat, they were horrible, not shooting the ball well, not playing with aggression, turning the ball over, and it got so bad when you saw a game in which both Coby and Pat had 0 points in a game as starters, where you thought, it's just not going to happen for these guys. They're never going to be those players that you can rely upon as those guys that are going to take this Bulls team to a new level. What we have seen from Pat and Coby more recently, even dating back to before the winning streak started, has been the brightest piece, the most encouraging sign from an otherwise dark season for the Bulls. Because it's not just a couple of games here and there where they're giving us glimpses, flashes of their potential. They're finally doing it on a nightly basis. And you're seeing the confidence, the emotion, the assertiveness on the court that quite frankly we haven't seen from these guys over the course of their careers for a sustained amount of time. Let's start with Patrick Williams tonight, because he was incredible. One of his best games of the season, tied at season high 20 points, but even more efficient than his last 20-point game where he was 8 for 11 tonight. Pat was decisive. He was crashing the glass on second chance points and throwing it down with authority, getting into passing lanes, poking the ball away from his opponent on post-ups, moving without the ball, cutting to the basket, trying to throw any and everything down when he was near the rim, even if the ball wasn't fed to him. The fact that he was driving with confidence and purpose and being ready should the pass come to him is a huge jump from what we have seen from him previously. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 turnovers from Patrick Williams tonight. A plus 20 on the night, which was a team high. Just a great showing from Patrick Williams. And then Coby White, who was second behind Pat with a plus-minus of 18, 5 for 7 from 3, continues that streak of 3 or more threes to 10 games. But more importantly from Coby, hitting big shots down the stretch, a few over Wemby. Driving into the hoop and kicking out to Torrey Craig, he was huge in closing out this game with his 3-point shooting, but the court vision from Coby on those plays, he's gotten so much better on those excellent finds on the perimeter. He also finished the game with 6 assists to go along with his team high of 24 points. Vucevic, I thought he was going to be in for a rough night going against Wemby, although he really was on Zach Collins for a good portion of possessions. And when Vucevic was working in the paint and trying to put it over Wemby, he was getting rejected here and there, but Vuce actually did have some nice shake and bakes, Hakeem-like moves on Victor Wembanyama that I did not see coming. And what was more impressive to me than his 21 points was the fact that Vuce had 10 offensive rebounds alone in this game. Vuce, as good of a rebounder as he is not known for attacking the offensive glass. Drummond, yes, not Vucevic. He had 16 rebounds in total, but it's very rare to see him get more offensive boards than defensive, and especially against the likes of a 7-4 Wemby, which, by the way, That kid, man. I mean, we knew he was going to be good, and he's obviously still raw in some areas and has a lot to work on, but this kid is going to be something special with his ability to run the floor, finish in transition, protect the rim. I mean, the Spurs are bad, but they're not going to be bad for very long. DeMar, not the best game for him shooting-wise. He was really having a rough night finishing. Now, he came through in the clutch, as he usually does, and hit some of the biggest shots for the Bulls in the game, but I believe he was, 4 for 18 at one point going into the fourth quarter. Finished the game going 7 for 24 with 40 points, but what I like seeing from DeMar was him going back to his Spurs days, playing for the Spurs, being more of a facilitator. Another 10 assists for DeMar, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals. So while he wasn't feeling it on offense, he was doing other things to impact the game and ultimately closing this one out for the Bulls. How about Torrey Craig off the bench, man? He saw more minutes in action with Caruso suffering that injury in the third quarter and didn't return, which really hope he's okay because if the Bulls are still considering trading him getting injured isn't going to help that trade value, which is at its peak right now. But Torrey Craig hitting some big threes in the fourth quarter to really create that separation in the final minutes. 5 for 7 from 3, 16 points overall. He also had 8 rebounds, 4 offensive boards alone. That's the other thing I wanted to add. The Bulls, they're rebounding tonight. And the way they were fighting for second chance opportunities, something we've been talking about damn near 2 years now, how the Bulls don't get second chance points. Tonight, 56 rebounds, 24 of them offensive boards. 24 offensive rebounds, a season high for the team. Keep in mind, the Bulls were 28th in offensive rebounding last season, averaging just 8.5 per game. Tonight, they had 24. Also, this game, like I said, sloppy at times, but another game in which we saw the pace accelerated, high degree of ball movement, 27 assists, and what was more impressive to me than what we've seen before when they're playing this fast is that they only had 7 turnovers. Unlike the last few games where the Bulls have been turning the ball over at a much higher rate because they've been playing so much faster. So anyway, I know it's the Spurs. I know we shouldn't be getting excited over a win like this when the game was really that close throughout it, but despite that, there were a lot of encouraging things to see and take away from this game, most notably with the continued improvement from both Coby White and Patrick Williams. Let me know what you guys thought of the game. Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.